Okay. Welcome to the Community Center Building Committee meeting on April 8th, 2024. I am Dick Malcolm, the chair of the committee. Following the guidance issued by the state in 2020 regarding the open meeting law, this public meeting will be held remotely, and individuals wishing to participate may do so by utilizing Zoom video conference technology. To join the meeting by video conferencing using a computer, tablet, or phone, please access the meeting information on the town website. So I'd like to just do a roll call of the committee members present. David Billings.
Here.
Luciana Birdie.
I'm here.
Barry Colt Goldman, I know, is away. Terry is not on. Ruth Townsend.
Here.
And of course, I am here, which makes a quorum. So before we start in on the agenda, I would, excuse me for a second, there we go. Before we start in on the agenda, I'd like just to make some comments about the generator, which was brought up at our last meeting. The generator is required to provide power to the fire suppression system. Should there be a coinciding power outage and fire event in at the building. After much discussion, including meetings with the abutters, the generator was located in the northwest side of the building due to proximity of the pump and the water storage tanks, the electric room, for cost, and the placement in the general utility area of the building. The generator was shown on site plans presented to the special town meeting. That was also presented on the plans that the planning board reviewed and voted unanimously for approval with approving those plans, and same with the planning board. And showing the generator in its planned location was unanimously approved by the planning board. The generator and location do not violate any state or town codes. We did add an acoustical reduction jacket during the design phase to help mitigate sound. The decibel range of the generator ranges from 69 decibels to 77 decibels. At 7 meters away, approximately 23 feet, at a range of 7 meters, which is about 23 feet. As a point of reference, normal conversation is 60 decibels. Comparable noise levels would include dishwashers, vacuums, hair dryers, and traffic. The town has received a letter from an abutter expressing concerns about the location of the generator. The building committee, and the town has also requested the building committee to look into other potential mitigation efforts, which together with the design team, we will do. So with that statement / comments, I would like to now proceed with the agenda items, which first starts with the approval of the minutes of March 11th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, I will poll the board. David Billings,
Yes.
Luciana Birdie,
Yes.
Ruth Townsend,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. And with that, I will turn the meeting over to Al Estevez, our owner's project manager.
Thank you, Dick, and thank you everyone for joining. Good evening. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the progress during the month of March, which is the payment period that we're going to be recommending approval on, included placing the slab on grade at the gym building, as well as infilling the leave out that we needed. It was about a 20-foot gap that we needed to leave out to get equipment in there and finish the concrete, as well as some underground electrical and plumbing at the connector between the 1910 and the gym building, as well as brick repairs at the 1910 building. It is now the 8th of April, and so since the end of March, we've also completed a couple other things, so including, so we started structural steel back up again. That was last Monday at the gym and the common area. So you're gonna see some pictures of what that looks like right now. The 1910 building foundation underpinning on the east side in order to get the 4-foot frost protection, that's been completed as well. We received the kitchen sign off. That's something we've been working on for a while with the building inspector and the building department. As well as we continued with the underground and electrical and plumbing at the common areas. The upcoming milestones include placing of the pavilion slab. That's going to be on Thursday. Completion of the structural steel, that's anticipated by the end of this week, and then they're going to move into the decking. As well as placing the transformer pad that's already on site. Any questions on the construction progress?
Are we basically on schedule?
So we just received an updated schedule that was late last week, and we need to go through it. There's a couple of things that are quite aligning with what we were anticipating, and so we're currently working on that right now. Now, we did have a couple of delays associated with the pavilion slab due to plumbing interpretation of the code of the code around the kitchen area. So that took a little while to get through that process. So we still have to work. We're working with the contractor to determine what, if any, time extension they're gonna request. But at the same time, we're also looking at the latest schedule that was provided. We need to figure out a couple of things on it.
Okay.
Al, do they provide, does the GC provide the monthly construction updates? They do? So
Yes,
do
correct.
do they include a P6 schedule, or do they update the schedule?
Yes, every month, and then we also have the 2-week look aheads during every OAC.
Great. So on these monthly updates, would you mind to keep track of the milestone schedule? Would you mind to add a slide in which the milestone schedule, so that we can keep track if the end date kind of starts sliding it?
Yeah, absolutely correct. That's what I want to do for these presentations, Luciana. It's get the milestones that we know where we're at. And so I'll work on that on the next presentation.
Yeah.
On this one, I think there
That's
might be
okay. Don't
some.
worry about it. Yeah. Just we can start from next month, so at least we can see it. We can forecast. That'd be great.
Absolutely, will do.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on construction progress? All right, let's look at some photos. So we held I was gonna say groundbreaking, the topping off ceremony last Friday. That was great. We had a beautiful day outside, and finally got some good weather again, and so that was a successful event. Thank you for everyone that was able to join us, and sorry for that not everyone could make it. So looking at the picture on the right, that's what the gym looked like at the beginning of the payment period, so the beginning of March. As you can see, they were just preparing for the slab on grade. By the 11th of March, we already had the vapor barrier, we had the rebar, and the dense grade installed. It was ready for concrete placement. And the picture on the right shows what it looks like essentially as of today. And as you can see, all the structural steel has been installed at the gym building. Moving on to the pavilion, we also had, as you can see, the difference between the beginning of the payment period and as of today. We installed the structural steel along the common areas between the pavilion and the other buildings. Looking at that connector on the picture on the left shows the 1910 building on the right and the gym building on the left. So you can see in the beginning of the payment period, we just had the staging for the CMU. And the picture on the right shows what it looks like today. You can see some of the columns are already installed. You can also, on the bottom left corner, you can kind of make out some of the underground electrical as well as the plumbing that's ongoing. So the next step is going to be getting, right now, the 1910 building, it's entirely shored up on the inside. That's because we had these openings here and all these joists are essentially just sitting on the temporary shoring. So the next step is to get the steel beams on these openings, and then that'll open up the inside of the 1910 building to start some of the underground utilities and the basement, as well as framing inside on the second floor. Okay, picture on the left shows the grading on the left, on the east side of the 1910 building. The underpinning along this side had been completed, and you can see some of the field stone foundation that's getting repointed. And the picture on the right shows the underground electrical work at the main electrical room. And finally, we have the progress at the mock-up. So the picture on the left shows the beginning of the payment period, and the picture on the right, we're currently waiting on the sunshade to go up before we can complete the brick on the left side. So that's it for the pictures. Any questions on the pictures? Okay, like I mentioned, the construction schedule, we're currently looking at it right now. And going forward, I'll plan on having the milestone so that we can all see it and know where we're stand on that. Okay, looking at the budget, starting on the left side with column B on the transfers. We had a couple of transfers that were associated with the prior PCOs that were approved. And I'll show you what those are in a second. I am gonna go over all the invoices in column D1. We had 6 invoices during the payment period. Moving on to the right on column E, that total potential exposure has been updated. And moving all the way to the right on column I, at the bottom, should all of those potential changes be approved as presented, we are looking at having at around 81% of the contingency left. That's about $2 million. Any questions on the budget, overall budget? All right, I'm gonna dig in a little bit more on starting with the left side, the construction cost. So we have a few changes under the pending change orders. Those are highlighted in yellow. We have a new PCO, potential change order number 15. That's for $94,000, and that's for some changes on around the site drainage structures. We're still reviewing that one, and so we'll see where we end up. So we're working with the contractor on that one. We have number 18 that I'm gonna talk about in a second. That's the one that we want to recommend approving today. And then we have 2 more new PCOs. We have additional framing at the pavilion ceiling. Very much working on that one with the GC. Still going back and forth on that one. And we also received PCO number 22. That is for the general conditions associated with the asbestos construction change directive. We're still looking at that one with the GC, going back and forth on that one. So the one that I wanted to recommend approval on today is the hip rafter blocking. That is for $14,138. And what that's for, it's for the pavilion building at each of the 4 hips. Essentially, what we need is a custom CNC piece of lumber. So the construction documents carried blocking in those hips, which we are gonna need. However, what we're gonna need is something, just because those roofs are not all at the same pitch, it needs to be a custom piece of wood. Now, the good thing is that the South County, who's the CLT, the cross-laminated timber vendor and its installer, they have the ability to custom make those pieces. And so, which is a good thing, because they essentially need to sign off on the substrate, because they're gonna put their cross-laminated timber panels on the roof. They need to sign off on the substrate to make sure that it's correct. And so this sort of eliminates that risk of having something that they potentially are not going to approve. And so this way, they can build the piece exactly the way that it needs to be. And again, we avoid that risk and helps a little bit with the schedule and keep things moving along. That's for 14,138.59. It's being reviewed, and we also have that PCO does include a credit for the blocking that was included in the construction documents, in the bid documents. That PCO has been reviewed by the architects and myself, and we feel that it is well documented, fair, and reasonable, and recommend that it be recommended for approval.
Is that something, Al, you want us to vote on right now? Is there any discuss and then go to a vote?
Yeah, we're ready. We looked at it, the design team and myself, we looked at it, and we feel that the price, it's fair, reasonable, well documented, and we recommend that it be approved so that we can release Suffolk County to start manufacturing those pieces, and we can keep moving on the pavilion.
Okay. Is there any
Is it-
discussion from the committee members?
Is this blocking exposed?
It
I
will
mean,
not,
I took a look at it and it's a lot of money for blocking.
yeah, it's gonna be a custom glulam piece, and the pricing also includes the material isolation from the blocking and the steel. So it's gonna be a membrane that's gonna be going between those two.
Why would you need isolation between wood members?
I think it's gonna be exposed for a little bit, and so to try to separate those materials, it is exposed, and we get the
Okay.
CLT.
It's
So it
isolated,
is exposed.
the steel and the wood.
Well, you won't see it from inside the building.
Okay,
So if I
So-
can interrupt for a second, sorry, excuse me, David, the cross-laminated timber is exposed from the underside. So when you're in the pavilion, when you look up, someone might look at it and think, oh, that's a wood ceiling. The cross-laminated timber is actually a wood, it's a roof slab. It's part of the
okay,
roof
yeah,
system.
I know what CLTs are.
And
Um,
the beams, the hip blocking that Al's referring to is exposed.
Okay, so that makes sense that you'd want to have it glulam. All right, that's fine.
Yeah, and I know there was some discussion about maybe potentially finishing that on the inside. I'm not sure where that's gonna end up, but so do you think that glulam is gonna be exposed inside, or wasn't there a discussion about potentially trimming that out to?
So there is the area over the kitchen that does have a drop ceiling. So if you look at the pavilion, about a quarter of the space is the kitchen. That area will
Yeah.
have a drop ceiling, but the remainder of the pavilion and the cafe that's just next to it will be exposed up to the ceiling structure.
Okay, so and this blocking is kind of visible at the edges.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, is there a motion to recommend for approval PCO 18 for hip rafter blocking in the amount of $14,138.59?
And
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, I'll poll the board. David Billings,
yes,
Luciana Berti,
yeah,
Ruth Townsend,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. Okay, thanks, Al.
Excellent. There's no changes as far as the soft costs on the right side. And like I mentioned earlier, assuming that all these potential change orders get approved as they're presented here, we're looking at having around $2 million left in contingency.
Al, a quick question on 15, where are these modifications coming from? Is this design issues or material? What's driving these site modifications or stormwater drainage? Is probably what it is.
Yeah, so we had the town engineer, Mike Angieri, who stopped by the site, and he had a few recommendations to the underground storm structures. And so we went back
Okay.
and forth with the civil engineers, and there's a few changes to some of the structures, some additional piping that we're gonna need. And so we're very much going back and forth on the pricing on this one. We'll see where we end up on that, but that's.
So this is coming from the town engineer?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Okay, moving on to the invoices for the March payment period. We have the contractor's pay app number 9. That is for $620,286.65. What that's for is general conditions, placement of the slab on grade for the gym, CMU labor and materials, brick materials. There's a bunch of brick materials on site, repointing of the 1910 building, submittals for the rough carpentry and elevators, underground plumbing, electrical distribution materials, and underground utility work. We have our invoice, monthly invoice that doesn't change for 21,154. We have FMA's invoice for 28,272. We have Bricks, who's the third-party materials testing firm, for 2,559 and 50 cents. We have a typical monthly invoice for the two containers for 398. And this time we also have another invoice from Roche Bros, and that's for the catering for the topping off ceremony, and that was 170 and 4 cents. The total of all the invoices is 672,840 and 21 cents. I've reviewed all these invoices, and I feel that they're fair and reasonable and consistent with the contract terms, and I recommend that they be approved.
What's the percent complete on construction?
So schedule-wise, we're about 50%. As far as the invoicing, about 23%.
That tells me the schedule's not right.
Yeah, so we need. You're absolutely correct that we need to work to the schedule and see where we're at on that. Yeah.
All right, well, the other comment is in the future, we should tie Colliers and FMA more to percent complete. Because we're all schedule driven.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time, David?
Both Colliers and FMA are pretty high percentage in terms of, because they're lump sum fees.
Yeah.
I like them a little closer to where we are in construction.
Yeah, that's something that we need to look into. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, yeah, for next month, if we can take a look at what your drawdown schedule is gonna be.
Yep, we'll take a look at that.
Okay.
Making a note over here. Okay.
Okay, is that, we'll vote on, recommendation for approval. Any further discussion? If not, I will poll the board. Excuse me, is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. For a second,
Second.
thank you. Okay, I'll poll the board. David Billings,
Yes.
Luciana Berti,
Yes.
Ruth Townsend,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. Thank you.
Okay, that is it for my presentation. Any citizen comments? Okay.
Okay.
And future business.
Can I ask a question? Can you remind me, Al, please, the MWP percentage, if they have any? Do they have one? Minority Women Business Enterprise. Do they
Yeah.
have it?
Ye-
For next month, can you remind us the percentage of M&W participation that they bid?
yeah,
Or I don't know if we put a percentage in how we are tracking.
yeah, I don't know if there was I know that we were trying to meet those goals, but I don't know that there were a requirement for this project. That's
Yes, still, if it's a goal, I'm expecting that they try.
yes.
So I would like to see how are they tracking towards this goal. A goal, I understand we all have goals, but if you don't ask the question, they will forget, right?
Yeah, I will get that for you, Luciana.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Okay,
All right, so the next
yeah, future meeting dates. I'm gonna butt in, sorry, Al. Monday, May 13th, I cannot make. and would like to see if we could reschedule our meeting to either Tuesday, May 7th or Wednesday, May 8th. I know I've heard from David said yes, he could make it. Terry said he could make it. Ruth, I believe you said you could make it, and Al, I know you can make it.
The 8th of May, isn't that the club? Don't we have the club route?
The 8th of May,
Yeah, maybe the kids can
or Wednesday, so
come, at, that can be their meeting. Participate to one of this meeting. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Yes, actually, it would be. It would be one of our meetings on the 8th.
So we
of
could
May, so-
have, we could have them attend virtually this, could that be?
Yeah, they could attend a meeting. Could be quite useful for them to, that could be another example for
Right,
them of how it's all
exactly.
running. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so then I can. I guess I can.
sounds like a bribe.
Yeah, basically, if you
Yes.
have that as a student, as the 8th of May, then Luciana and I need to bring the students along with us.
Yes, yes.
All right, I guess we're settled on the 8th then. It'll be,
I think it'll
Sounds
be a
good.
great opportunity for them.
I think it's a great idea. I agree as well. Okay, so we'll move the meeting on May 13th to Wednesday, May 8th. All right.
Hey, Dick, it's Doug. Could I talk about that generator with you guys for a little bit?
Yes, please do.
Okay. I think you said earlier when you opened up that there was discussions with the abutters about the generator. And I was never part of that. The only time that the generator was brought up was when I found out about it 2 years ago. And we were out back for an abutters meeting, and I had questioned Ford about it. And I said that I didn't want the generator to be put there because I have tenants that are right off the side of that generator. And I didn't want to see it, smell it, or hear it. And I said, I think it belongs on the other side of the building, facing the police generator up near Center Street. Someone was going to look into it, and that's the last I heard about it. And it wasn't until I saw them trenching down the access road or the service road, whatever you call it, did I inquire, and the generator was in fact going directly where it was originally planned. I've got a problem with that, obviously. I mean, I've hired an attorney to help me through this, but I don't want to, I'm going to be in trouble if that's here. It's going to bring my property value down. I may lose my tenants. I've already had to reduce their rent because of the construction with the vibration and the noise and everything. So was it ever looked at moving it to the other side of the building at all?
Yes, it was, we looked at also, all around the building where we thought would be the best place, and we
Do you have documentation of that at all?
Just, that I'm not sure of. We had discussions at our meetings. I don't know if there's any documentation.
I would, if you're going to move it, you're going to need to know what the price would be, and I would think there'd be estimates towards that, and I'd like to see those.
If they exist.
Okay.
I will refer that, Doug, I'll have to refer that to the town.
Okay.
Okay, but thank you for your comments.
As far as the sound mitigation, you have a series 2 soundproofing is what I saw spec'd out. Is that correct?
Yes, Dick, I can answer that. It's a
No,
series
thank-
2 enclosure. Yes, that's correct.
What are you doing with the exhaust?
So originally we had owned an exhaust for this project. Because of the model that was submitted, we are able to remove the exhaust requirement. It is an internal exhaust that's part of the package.
The fumes have to go somewhere. Where are they going?
It's part of the enclosure package. So as you said, the level 2 enclosure. So a baseline product that you would buy, in a typical residential application would be more bare bones. This is the level 2. So the enclosure, the case has the acoustical attenuation on all the sides.
Yep.
The
I'm concerned more about the outlet where the fumes are going.
okay, so the unit that we have is not required to have an exhaust. That said, we do own an exhaust tent, or excuse me, an exhaust pipe as part of the package, because what we received is not the basis of design, so part of that gets baked into the, you know, the basis of design and what the proprietary information would be. I guess maybe I'm not following. I might not be
Well,
answering your question.
So what's concerning me is at what height is the termination of the exhaust? Are you taking it to the roof line? Are you going 10 feet off the base of the generator? I have not found anything in regards to that.
I to be honest, I would have to double check on the submittal. I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay. I'm driving in this morning and I'm coming down Route 109 and there's a guy with a Kenworth idling in his driveway. I was a half mile before that and I can see nothing but a cloud on Route 109 and it's at ground level. So my point to that is the exhaust is coming out and dropping down. And I couldn't believe how many houses are in a cloud of exhaust. And I'm thinking to myself, how ironic that the meeting's tonight and I'm looking at this. And that's what one of the things I'm afraid of is the exhaust with a windless day. It's a little bit of humidity in the air and the exhaust is going nowhere and it's just other than down. And I don't know what you have in case that happens.
So I can, do a little bit of research and get back to Dick and to
Okay.
the group here about the exhaust. And just in case this part wasn't included in the messaging, as part of the exercising of the equipment, it's generally recommended for 30 minutes per week. That's what the manufacturer recommends.
Yep.
So that's just the general, obviously turn it on and off and make sure that it's working, with the understanding that this really is for emergency use. So the, intention is not for this to be running, every day. It's a situation when the power failure and the building needs to be maintained and open.
No, I understand that, but still a half hour a week in the right conditions can be a problem. So I have concern about that. Obviously I have concern about my property value dropping because of it. What are you doing to hide the generator so I don't see it?
So along the property line, there is a 6-foot high wood fence. And so along the edge of the west side of the property, currently the elevation is approximately 162. The kind of where you can see the generator pad, from your property, you might notice that it's a little bit lower. So part of that line does have a retaining wall, which is really just it's a gravity wall to, in order to lower the property a bit. But we do have a 6-foot wood fence that goes generally all the way from Springdale back to just a little bit past the generator as far as going south in the site, and then does transition to a chain link fence at the lower part of the site.
So I will see the generator then in the backyard.
Um,
That's what it
well-
sounds. I mean, I know the backyard. And if it's going to terminate at my property line, which is what it sounds like, and then I'm going to be chain link, I'm going to see it. Half that generator is on my property line, perpendicular.
the generator on the property line. Yeah, so generally the line of the wood fence will line up somewhere around the range where the generator pad is.
Yep.
And then it does transition to chain link.
Yeah, so I'm going to be seeing it. That's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry, I'm pausing because I'm looking at my drawings. I know that we do have some of the chain link fence on the site has a black slat, so that you have to slide it in. The one that we have here does have a scrim. So the scrim meaning, oftentimes we use a dark green or a black so that it's more, so it kind of goes away so you don't see it, but the fence in that area does have a scrim.
Yeah, I think there's going to be an issue there. I'm going to probably want the fence. I mean, obviously, if for some reason you can't get that generator moved, I'm going to need the fence changed from chain link to something more solid that I don't see.
Can we look at some options from the design team, what that could be?
So I think we do have a couple of different kinds of some fences already in the project. So I think, you know, obviously there's decisions were made at some point. I can only assume it was based on budget, but we do have a wood fence already there, so we can definitely look at either extending that or increasing that, both for height or length. Those are, you know, those are things that we do have on site. I will repeat though,
Okay,
a wood fence is a, you know, it's an obstruction, it's a visual obstruction. It doesn't help with attenuation. So it's not an acoustical fence, but certainly would be a visual blocker. So it would be, you know, it would prevent the visuals to the site.
Has the committee explored any fire suppression for the generator?
Yeah, Katie, is there any fire suppression for the generator there? I just don't know.
Within the generator itself,
Yes.
I
I mean, it's a combustion, you know, engine.
it is. I don't believe that there's any like I don't believe we have like a cold or sorry, like a dry fire protection system there. I would also have to look into that. I'm not sure that if it comes with something, you know, internal, that as far as a standalone system, but I do know that we don't have a dry system, you know, connecting to it.
I think there probably should be something, I would think, being outside the building there. Another question for you, the decibel rating, is that taken under full load?
The numbers that Dick mentioned before, yeah, it's the range between no load and full load.
Okay, what are those numbers again?
They were.
I think it goes from a range of 69 to 77.
Yeah,
but
69 to 77.
Yeah, that includes all four sides, because certainly each side is going to have a slightly different direction. And that is the range from, like I said, no load to full load.
Yeah, and the backside of the generator is the building, so it's going to be a backboard for the sound. You know, I believe that's going to be just bouncing sound back towards my house. Has that been explored at all through testing?
We don't have any, well, acoustical testing of the installed unit.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be other applications where where it's beside a building. Do they have any specs for that?
I guess I'm not sure I'm quite following. The manufacturer's data pertains to the unit by itself.
Right.
So that's the part that they're saying these are the numbers that one can expect, you know, for this unit in the typical application. I think what you're saying is, in this situation, being X feet away from a brick building, would it be higher, lower? Is that what your question is?
Basically what I'm saying, right?
I mean, in general, no, I don't have a specific, you know, number for you to say that it would be. I don't believe that it would be refracting off of the building. I mean, that's not really how
Really?
sound.
You don't think it's going to echo off the building at all?
I don't, and I guess I would say partially that because we've got sound coming from all four sides. So, you know, if it was set up in a way that one side, if let's say the right side was much louder, you know, perhaps it would be, you know, overpowering the others, but I don't think that would be noticeable.
Okay. You guys are willing to test for sound?
I'm not sure what that question is.
Are you guys willing to check the sound level after it's installed and see if it meets what the manufacturer says? You, the committee, whoever's involved.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going to happen if it doesn't meet the sound levels that the manufacturer says, and it's.
I think, Doug, I can't answer that directly, but I, you know, it seems like a good suggestion. And I understand your concern.
Yep. Okay, I would want to be a part of anything that is involved with this generator. I still want to see records if there are any of what was done to move it. I think that's important to me. Because I don't think there was anything done to move it personally. And, you know, if you guys are looking into different things to mitigate the sound and the smell and the visual aspect, I need to be a part of those decisions. Because the generator was not talked about at all for 2 years. And I'm the only one that brought it up. And it was after that, it was, you know, not part of my discussions. So.
Okay, anything else, Doug?
That's it.
Okay, well, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, any other business? With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Is there a second?
Second.
Great, I'll poll the board. David Billings,
Yes.
Luciana Birdy,
Yes.
Ruth Townsend,
Yes.
and I am yes as well, and thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Good evening.